this using an atheistic framework?
I don't seek to prove anything. I seek answers, and then I acknowledge when there's no facts as answers. I acknowledge that we have limited capacity of finding the truth. I don't claim that I have the truth.
Okay, brilliant, brilliant. So, sorry, what's your name?
Safe.
Safe?
Yes.
Oh, and you claim to be an atheist, agnostic, or?
I am an agnostic atheist. I grew up Muslim. I went to church after a while. I educated myself to a certain level on different religions, and I didn't find any answers.
Saif, really nice to see you.
Thank you.
I hope this will be a fruitful discussion.
Yeah, hopefully.
So you were born a Muslim. When did you leave Islam?
Around age 15.
Okay.
So I'm 24 now, so it's been almost 9 years ago.
So why did you leave Islam? What was it that made you take that step and leave?
Well, it was a lot of, to be honest, it was naturally not convincing for me. The stories, the doctrine, the teaching, the ethical code that was being presented to me as part of Islam. I believe when I was a teenager, pretty much, right? The values that I have developed, liberal values, and the values about equality and freedom and human dignity, were a little bit at collision to what I learned in Islam growing up.
Okay.
If I can mention examples if you want of what like.
So when you said you're an agnostic atheist, it seems like there's because they mean different things.
Yeah, exactly.
So how comes you claim that you're agnostic atheist? Why that label?
I think saying that I'm only an atheist implies that I can claim that there is no God, or there is no higher power, or we're not living in a simulation, let's say. So that's why I choose to have a step towards agnosticism, because I don't know. I don't have the answers, I don't have the truth, but I don't think anybody else does have it neither.
Okay. So would you say do you still stick with the label of agnostic atheist, or would you say agnostic? Because atheist somewhat is like certainty, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why it's the term that I'm using. I forgot the word. It's like a subgroup of atheism, let's say, because I live my life as of there is no God. Therefore,
okay,
you know. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so let's. What would you say, Saif, then? If we were being safe in terms of our thinking, because you know this rationalist mentality of Descartes, yeah, which even when he was trying to get to the answers, he said, okay, in his meditations, he said, let's strip everything away. Yeah, so let's do the same thing. Let's strip everything away, and what would you say is the thing that we can accept? The bare fundamentals that no matter how skeptical you are, what's the elementary thing that you can accept?
Of course, a very great example, Descartes. I can strip everything away, and then I can know my own existence. I trust my senses a little bit more than Descartes did, so I trust that this world is real. What I see around me is a representation of reality. And I trust my brain, but to a certain level, because I know not everything that seems preferable or logical is logical, preferable, or true.
Would you also accept that one's senses can deceive a person also?
Of course.
For example, I'm sure you've seen these little YouTube videos where you've got these children, you know, there's these different glasses, and they put them on for the first time, and it helps, you know, colorblind children see color for the first time, and seeing their reaction is amazing. But these very children, they're convinced that their way of seeing reality is the correct way. So you acknowledge that the senses can't always be trusted, yeah?
Of course, there's also animals that can see more than us and that can hear more than us. So we have our limited version of perception.
So what would you say, even if you were to strip the senses, how can we go even more fundamental than that?
Well, if you strip the senses, then you only know that you exist because you can hear your own thoughts.
Excellent, excellent. So I would agree with you also that we exist. That's the most elementary thought. Now, another example, let's just say I have my phone here, yeah? Very old phone, but old is gold, you know. So I'm holding this up. So Saif, if I was to ask you, why is this phone not randomly combusting and exploding?
Because it seems that it sophisticatedly has been built by components that we can put together and remove and
Okay, let's think generally, like your hat. You have your hat with you. Why is your hat randomly not catching fire or flying, or randomly it becomes something of heavy mass like a neutron star and goes down into the ground and sucks you in also? Or why is it that when you cross the road you're crossing with somewhat contentment that the laws of nature won't randomly start going crazy?
Yeah, because as you pointed out, there is laws of nature, and scientists have been able to observe them and learn how the universe functions.
Brilliant. Okay. So Saif, I'm going to put these in a logical syllogism now, and let me know how you feel. So premise 1, we exist, there is existence. Premise 2, the laws of nature are uniform, regular and stable. And that's why we can do science. That's why we can live our life. We can do that because the laws of nature have to be uniform, regular and stable. So then, it then results that there needs to be an existence that explains the uniformity, regularity and stability. What do you think about that?
This is where I think we depart from each other. You're taking a precondition that there must be what you described. I think that the world is inherently meaningless and absurd, and we should just accept the absurdity of our existence, that there is no meaning, we're not going anywhere, we're not going to exist forever.
That's fine, we can come to meaning later. For now, we just want to talk about an existence. That existence that is responsible for the uniformity, regularity and stability of nature, because these two things we agree upon. Yeah, so if we agree on these two, then surely it results through the mode of logic. Of course, we rely upon also that there needs to also be an existence. It follows that there needs to be an existence that is able to explain, or that explains the uniformity, regularity and stability. So let's just say you have an issue with that, no problem. Yeah? Let's then say there are three types of existences. Yeah? You have an impossible existence, like a squared circle. It can't exist. You have an existence which is contingent. Yeah? And then, so contingent things, for example, phone is contingent upon something else. Yeah? If I was to loosely translate it, I would say dependent.
Dependent on existing object.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's the second type. Yeah, contingent. And then you've got a third type, which is necessary. Yeah, now how I'm defining contingency is something that's made out of parts, something that can cease to exist, and something that can be any other way. Yeah, and for something necessary, it's the opposite. Yeah, it's not composed of parts, it can't cease to exist, and it can't be conceived any other way. Yeah, so these are conditions accepted by Bertrand Russell and the likes.
Thomas Aquinas, or
I mean so these are the three types of existences. Yeah, so Saif, if I was to ask you now, the universe, what type of existence is the universe out of these three?
I think that energy and material in the universe will always exist, because it will only change form, and but I don't think that the grounds that we're gonna build that argument on is that what we know exists depends on something else.
Let me clarify, maybe I didn't explain properly.
Yeah.
So what initially I said existence. Yeah, I tried the logical syllogism, which logically is sound, but you had an issue with it, no problem. Yeah, then I said, look, there's three types of existences: something that can't exist, something which is contingent, something which is necessary. Yeah, so if we loosely describe it, let's just say something that can't exist, I'll take that out of the equation. So you got something that's dependent, like a phone, like a browser, like a computer, something which is independent. Yeah, and my question was, well, first of all, are there any other existences that you would say that I've missed out?
No, I think within your own, like within the boundaries of this argument, I think it is
brilliant.
Yeah, but so I know that also there's other philosophies, there's other conditions, there's other preconditions that in different alternative versions of the arguments of existence also.
But we can discuss that, no problem.
Plato has his English betrays me sometimes. The ideal world with the ideas.
Sorry, what language? What's your original?
I speak Arabic and Norwegian and English.
Oh wow!
Therefore, sometimes I get a little lost. But I know in the Greek philosophies, they have the ideas, the idea of a tree, and then you have the manifestation of a tree. And then in Thomas Aquinas, that I think, if not also one other philosopher, spoke about the contingent and the non-contingent, multiple philosophers, but I see both as two separate ways you can see things, but that doesn't mean that the preconditions that they apply, I don't see them as necessary. Pre-existence or whatever, I think those are...
I think say for what I'm trying to say...
Philosophical exercise. Yeah. It's a philosophical exercise, but I don't see it's a way to find truth.
The thing is, look, if we strip it down to the bare bones, existence is something that we don't deny. I would say it's the rationalist method or discursive reasoning, which I would argue that it is logically sound to then build up from existence, building up for something that we can't deny, and then rationally asking, okay, what are the types of existences, and then concluding that there are three existences, and then building on from that. It is rational discursive reasoning, and then to rationally then say, okay, the universe, what type of existence, because we believe the universe exists.
I believe the universe has always existed and it will always exist. I disagree with the approach. I choose to start with, like we started, with the individual and go from there and up. But do you start
wouldn't you argue that if we go with individuals, it's more subjective? So here what we're doing is we're taking a somewhat, loosely, if I can use that word, objective truth of existence.
To be honest, I don't agree that it's subjective.
That's why I said loosely,
I agree,
somewhat.
I agree. Because there's multiple approaches to categorize types of existence and categorize the ideas of let's say the blueprints of existence, like Plato did.
Just unpack that for me. The blueprints.
What Plato taught, I think, was that there's an ideal form, the world of forms, or the realm of forms. So that there's the ideal form for everything, and there's worldly manifestation. So there's many versions of trees. There's many different trees in different shapes, but there's the form of a tree, which is one in the realm of forms. This is how...
What do you mean realm of forms?
This is the word he used. It's the...
Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I'm just displaying an alternative way of categorizing existence and how can things come from and how we can categorize and understand that.
But say if that's not something that you agree with, or that you kind of use, let's
put it on the side. I don't mind.
Let's stick with stuff that, because then we can have a discussion.
Exactly.
If, for example, I break that down and then you say, oh, I don't believe in that anyway. Then
but the point is that what I'm trying to say is that
let's just stick with this then. Let's stick with this, and then you tell me then. So there's three types of existence. Am I correct to assume that you are saying that the universe is an independent, a necessary existence?
Yes, I would. I don't know what you put in these words. I know slightly, but not all the way through. But I would say yes.
Okay.
The universe is.
No problem. Then what I'll do, I'll just remind you of the words, because I don't want to straw man you, or I don't want to kind of say, oh, you said this, and pin you on that.
Exactly.
So I'll just remind you. So contingency, something that's made out of parts. It can cease to exist, and it can be seen in another way. For example, a tree. A tree can die. You can pluck a leaf off the tree. It can be seen in a different way. It's composed of parts. You've got the roots of the tree, you've got the trunk of the tree, you've got the branches, and you've got the leaves. So something necessary, again, it's not made from parts. I would even argue, like even a mathematical set Yeah, a set depends upon its members. Yeah, but we can unpack that a bit later on. So contingency is something like this brother standing over here. He's contingent. Yeah, he's got legs. Yeah, a leg can be taken off. Yeah, well, I'm not going to. Don't. So it's a part. Yeah, a part can be taken off. He can be given a prosthetic leg. He ceases to exist. He can be understood in a different way. Something necessary is, think of it like the opposite of that. Yeah. So am I correct now to still assume that you're saying that the universe is necessary?
Yes.
Then I would say to you, Saif, that is our description of God. That it's a necessary being. Can't be seen any other way. It's not composed of parts. It cannot cease to exist. Yeah. So I would say where we call something God or creator, you're calling it the universe. But then Saif, I would go further and I would say that it's not necessary because the universe itself can be understood in a different way. It's also composed of parts. Whether even if we go to the multiverse theory or whatever we do, even if we go ad infinitum, yeah, and I give the example, I mean, Muhammad Hijab normally has these beads. So if I was just to use my finger, yeah, if it's made of 3 parts, yeah, this is a set, a mathematical set, and it's made of parts. Am I correct to assume that the set depends upon its members? Yeah. So that's why we will say that a mathematical set, even if it's ad infinitum, is still contingent. Yeah, because it's dependent upon its parts, you see, Saif. So we say that that there needs to be a creator now, there needs to be a prime mover, there needs to be an existence that itself is necessary to start that. Yeah, and if I was to use a crude example of a person that's about to shoot an arrow, and his condition is, I will only shoot an arrow if I get permission. So he asks this individual, yeah, can I shoot the arrow? He says no, let me ask that individual. Yeah, let me ask B. B says let me ask C. So say eventually I'm not going to shoot the arrow, am I? So I guess the point that I'm trying to say, Saif, is the fact that we're here shows that the arrow, quote unquote, was shot. Yeah, because sometimes what we do with ad infinitum, we say that, oh, because it's in infinity, it's always there, but then it's somewhat a lazy way of sidelining a necessary being. Do you see where I'm coming from?
I see. I've read about this topic before. I read Al-Ghazali, and of course, very shortly. I didn't read the whole books and the whole works. There would have been a lot of knowledge that I'm sure you yourself have. I think that when I take a holistic look at religion or God, even though when you break it down to certain arguments, it might sound convincing or necessary or appealing or rational, but when I take a holistic look at the whole package, I feel
okay,
that,
no problem, Saif. I know that's annoying you. Should we just move, yeah? We'll go over there, yeah? The thing is, I'm used to I'm used to that noise.
It's my first time here.
Yeah.
I came to see how it is and how.
Mashallah. It's really nice, Saif. You know what? I'm glad. I'm glad that you've come, and I'm glad you're still seeking, my friend, because I'm going to be honest, it is a sad reality, and as social beings, we do. I mean, what we see around us does affect us, and sometimes what we see around us is not consistent with what people are saying. Eventually, as human beings, we do start questioning, like, hang on a minute, like something's not right. So I get that point. So it's good, Saif, that you're saying that what we were discussing does seem rational, does seem logical. However, correct me if I'm strawmanning you, that however, when you look at the bigger picture, that's what you have an issue with. You don't have an issue with the contingency argument, the cosmological argument. You've read it and they seem appealing to you. I'm correct in assuming that, yeah?
It seems appealing. I know it's been criticized or let's say answered by others and stuff. And I see the whole debate as very interesting and very logical and constructive in a way. Yes.
What I was going to add, apologies, was the cosmological argument, Saif. Maybe you can apply that to that there has been some kalam against that. There's been some discussion against that. But the contingency argument, there hasn't been. There's been no. In fact, it's actually from time immemorial till now. It's one that's even been accepted by the likes of Bertrand Russell and the likes. It's a very strong argument, and there isn't much that's. In fact, I haven't come across, even Muhammad Hijab was saying that as well. There is no solid argument against that at the moment. But yeah, so if we were to now extrapolate that and we continue on there, Saif, what would you say is the thing that's really bugging you about this whole kind of image?
What's bugging me is that the religions that we have in front of us has caused a lot of evil throughout history and continue to do so today. The religions, the way they're taught in a... I'm going to speak of myself. When I grew up learning about Sunni Islam in Damascus, I think that there was...
Oh, you studied in Damascus?
Yeah, I grew up in Damascus, and I got educated the normal average, what the normal average kid would learn. And I think that they keep a lot behind closed doors for us. They teach us about certain surface level things that sound appealing, and at the same time that can be problematic. But then when I went individually and started looking in what critics of Islam have to say, or even reading I'm not saying reading in books written by let's say non-Muslims, even within the Muslims book, I found a lot of problematic issues ethically and not maybe philosophically, but ethically and within regarding to humans and how we should treat each other.
But Saif, logically, would you agree that the presence of evil, or the problem of evil, as they say, doesn't disprove a God? Would you agree with that?
I'm not. I don't know if that's we can go into that discussion, and also there's standard arguments for and against. I think, in my perception, I don't mind there's being evil. I mind the evil in the religion. I mind the evil in the Islamic books, and this is where I will not. My intellectual integrity, let's say, I'm going to call it that, does not allow me to shove it away and say God knows best. Because many people say, oh, God knows best, don't look at these things, they're here to weaken your faith. But when certain men around the Prophet have done some things, when the Prophet himself had led by example in a way that I see is inappropriate, that is supposed to be an example for the whole of humanity, then I grew up when I was 15 or 16 when ISIS came out, and then that put me in a position where I have to find out, is this what my religion wants me to do, or is this just a group of people that are faking being Muslims, or are lost, or are hypocrites of some sort?
What did you conclude with ISIS?
I conclude that they take things very far away. I think that there are. I'm not going to say all what they do. I think most of what they did have been done previously in history. I'm not going to say by the Prophet or by his close followers, but at some point in history has been done. They didn't bring anything new in a way. It's just that they brought something from the past, which maybe in its own age was kind of the norm, actually.
But bear in mind, Saif, I think we should be careful here, because when you're saying what ISIS is doing is stuff that was done in the past, in the history of Islam. It's a worrying statement, because what ISIS is doing is stuff like taking innocent people, who they deem to be heretics, based upon no Islamic kind of grounding, recording, beheading, violating vital Islamic laws like killing of women and children, and doing stuff like this, which is not present in Islam. In fact, the doctrines of Islam clearly speak against killing of women and children and killing of innocent people. So I
wouldn't blame it neither on Islam or Muslims, because I know that Islam is practiced differently by different groups of Muslims, and I know that Muslims are also a diverse group. There's the Mu'tazila, Al-Asha'ira, Al-Hanafiyya, there's the Sufis and the Sunnis and the Shias, and even within the Shias there's the 12ers and the 6ers. I will never blame it on the whole group of
No, I didn't say that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm cleaning it up. But I still think that also the church, the Catholic Church, they did it even worse.